Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry to interrupt everyone's. I know much of you, probably like many others, if you have any kids in Douglas County, you're on spring break. So I hate that we interrupted maybe your spring break, but hopefully we won't keep you long. We just wanted to do a quick update since we combined the Fire and EMS Committee and the Public Safety Committee. We wanted to go ahead and have a meeting so we could get some quick updates. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order, the April 6th meeting to order. I'm going to start by doing roll call. First is my Vice Chair, District 3 Commissioner Trinia Carthen.
Present.
DCA Frederick Perry. I believe he's out of town. All right, interim Deputy Chief, Fire Chief Miles Allen.
Present.
E911 Director Katrina Hartley.
Present.
Our coroner Renee Godwin. I thought I seen her on here. All right, then we're going to have our EMA Director Jason Milholland.
Present.
Chief Deputy Sheriff Kenneth Connor. I know he was out of town. Spoke with him. He was going to try and be on. And Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, Tavarius Pounds. Douglas County Code Enforcement Chief Russell Tilzone.
Present.
Animal Control Director Vanessa Frankowski. Okay. And then Mark Alcarez, District 4 Commissioner and Chair, present. We have a quorum. Has everyone have had time to review the February 16th minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any corrections to the minutes that need to be made?
I just had one on the EMA side when we were talking about the COOP plans. It says in the minutes, 5 of 6 COOP plans have been completed. It was 5 or 6. We still have, at this point, we've got a good many more completed, but there's 28 total. So we're working through each one of those, still doing that, which I'll mention in a minute. But just that it's just not 5 of 6. 5 of 6. There's more than 6 continuity plans for different departments and everything. That was on one I had.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? All right. If there is nothing else, may I get a motion to approve the minutes with the changes from the EMA Director in regards to the continuity?
So moved.
May I get a second?
Second.
All opposed? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries with the corrections. Minutes are approved. I will now go ahead and invite our Deputy Fire Chief, Miles Allen, to give us an update.
Good morning, committee members, Chair, Vice Chair. This morning, the fire department, we wanted to just go ahead and get started and talk about some updates that we're doing, some changes in our hiring process, and information involving our response fees. And I want to bring forth some information about the burn building, and want to propose a new classroom replacement for our complex. So with that, to initiate everything, I want to bring on Division Chief Farmer to talk about the True Check response fees, and I'll go on from there.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We are revamping our new hire process, and we're looking at using a service called True Check that could integrate our GCIC, NCIC, MVR, all those services in one. The cost is reasonable. It's $30 per person. So we'd like to go ahead and move that forward and get an agreement with them for our background checks.
Okay.
Can we just keep going, or is there anything else?
No, ma'am, you can keep going.
Okay. The next one is our large gathering. So as you know, we have the amphitheater, which is gearing up for some amazing concerts in July. But we're going to need to have an EMS and fire presence at those events, which is going to cost. What we'd like to do is instead of incurring those costs at time and a half and using staff that is on duty, to go ahead and allow services to request to have our presence there and those fees to be covered at their expense. So we're looking at adopting the same rates that law enforcement uses for large gathering events, and we'd like to start that within the next month or so. We're doing this now with our school systems for football games, but we could see this being a need for the amphitheater. Kwanzaa Club has asked for our services before some of the races, 5Ks, things like that. So it could be a benefit to a lot of different organizations.
Okay. Yeah, when you're speaking about the new Douglas County Amphitheater, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that we need to know if this needs to be brought to the board with the True Check doing a contract with them, and the response fees, increasing our response fees, if that needs to be brought to the board.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Vice Chair, but I do believe that will need to come before the board.
Yes, we just finished our service delivery agreement. So had we known about this, we could have possibly included that in that. But we can, we'll do some checking around. We'll get with the county attorney and we'll go from there. So yes, it does. But we can, not a problem. We'll get it taken care of. Thank you.
The increase in response fees, there's a couple initiatives that revenue would be geared towards. One is paying a lead ambulance incentive pay, which has become pretty customary in the industry, so that's going to allow us to be competitive. And then the other one we're looking at is doing a paramedic or AEMT only program. Paramedic only would be a budget neutral revenue, or budget neutral, but the AEMT only, there would be an expense incurred for that. So that additional revenue stream would be needed to make sure that we're able to deliver the services that we need and be competitive as far as wages and salaries and things for our personnel.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, so go ahead.
No, sir, you go ahead.
And finally, just letting everybody know that we're moving forward with the bidding process with the burn building. But what we wanted to also do is to put forth a proposal for our classroom renovation for the fire complex also. And I'll have a PowerPoint that I could send out to the chair and the vice chair on that, so they can view it and let me know what we need to do to move forward with that.
That'd be great.
And that's all we have from the fire department.
All right. Any questions from anyone, Vice Chair?
So, Chair Alcaraz, I would request that we go back to Ms. Farmer's first request. If we could get just a little bit more information on that to see if we need to make a recommendation to move towards the BOC.
All right. Ms. Farmer, can you, is there anything that you can give us in regards to that information on your first request?
For True Check?
Yes, ma'am.
True Check, they offer a full suite. We actually got their information from HR, and what we were looking at including, I just had this up, again, was GCIC, NCIC, Sexual Predator Registry Search, Social Security Search. They offer a full suite of services, Federal District Criminal Record Search, Motor Vehicle Record. So it would kind of be a one-stop shop for all of the background information, other than doing your regular social media and reference checks. They would be able to do the rest of these for about $30 a person, a little under $30 a person.
Now, is this the same? Does the Sheriff's Department use the same company or the same individual?
I'm not sure if the Sheriff's Department does. What we've been running into is the Sheriff Department and the Police Department, they can both run GCIC for us. What we're having some issues with is getting services that are capable and that are willing to do the national background checks. And so that's what led us to looking outside of the county for an entity that could provide those services. So it's the national background check that's really the one that's been a barrier for us.
Okay.
And if I may, I believe they also do other types of background checks for our hiring process.
And give me the name of that company one more time, please.
It's True Check, and I can send you an email here with their information and their rates and the services they provide.
Yeah, if you would please provide that to us, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chair Alvarez?
Yes, go ahead. You have the floor, Vice Chair.
Okay. And Ms. Farmer, what is the contract? Is it an annual contract? Is it month to month? What are the terms of the contract that we're looking at possibly?
It really is just as a per person. We would submit to them per person. So there's not a commitment on our end for any type of period of time.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And so this would come out of you all's budget, Deputy Allen?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, if you would get us the information, I will go ahead and make a motion that we use True Check HR for our national background check for you all. I think it's vitally important, and we know it's needed. We just want to ensure that the public has, faith in those who we send to their homes and who's working, within the county. So I think it would be a step in the right direction, given some of the events that have happened earlier. I think we can start to put some confidence back into the community in regards to hiring. So I think it's a great idea. Thank you for bringing it forward. So I make a motion that the fire and EMS use True Check HR pending their information and rates that they send over to the BOC.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead. If you'll get us that information, this committee will present that to the BOC to put this out so that you guys can hopefully, and I agree with Vice Chair that this is much needed, and to reestablish some trust back to our community. And I also thank you for taking that initiative to get this straightened out for us.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any other information?
With that, I think we're good, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't see any representative from the Sheriff's Office on here. Deputy Chief Connor, have you joined? Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. We'll move on to the E911 Director, Hartley.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So I have a couple of things to bring to the committee this morning. The first is, with all of the new construction in Douglas County, our radio systems administrator is receiving requests for BDA testing. And so BDA testing, those are bidirectional amplifier units, and they're required by fire codes, specifically NFPA 72, Chapter 24, and the International Fire Code 510, in buildings in which radio coverage provided by the Public Safety Radio Network is not adequate for reliable communications, but by providing two-way radio communications within challenging areas of buildings, such as stairwells, basements, garages. And so once we receive the request to begin the pre-testing to determine if a BDA is needed in a new construction, the business is connected with our regional radio systems manager, and that's at Cobb County. A BDA is kind of like a Wi-Fi extender, would be a way to kind of provide a little bit of context. Our radio systems administrator has drafted an agreement that would coordinate the authority to retransmit on the radio frequencies to have more coverage in buildings, and that's critical to our public safety responders. We've actually met with DCA Perry and provided him a draft of that agreement. And so this will involve both Douglas County and the city of Douglasville, as both entities are licensed holders of the radio frequencies to our public safety radio network. And so we have a total of 10 radio frequency pairs. 8 are owned by the city of Douglasville and 2 are owned by Douglas County. An agreement would ensure that the business entities are accountable for yearly preventative maintenance to ensure that their engineering, their operations, their security are up to compliance, to ensure that the installation is up to specific specs with regards to the fire codes, and to ensure enforcement of accountability if the BDA should ever interfere with our public safety radio system network. So ensuring that the BDAs, once granted access and permission for installation, are properly working is critical for our public safety responders to ensure that there is no radio interference. And so we would like from the group for permission to place this on our mid-April work session agenda. Andy is actually on this call as well in case there are any more technical questions, but we'd like to do a presentation to the Board of Commissioners regarding these BDAs and how they will impact and affect our county, specifically again with all of the new construction that we have, and with the request starting to flow into to Andy. And I'll stop there. I have another item, but I'll stop there for any questions.
Okay. Ms. Hartley, are there certain areas that we're seeing right now that where we're having interference, or that we're not able to, effectively communicate back and forth?
Well, this is just regarding our new construction, and so what happens is within those buildings, in order to meet fire code, they have to be tested to ensure that there is adequate coverage throughout those buildings. And so in instances where there is not, they may have to install a BDA. And so what we are putting forth is we have to hold these business entities accountable to ensure that they are conducting the preventative maintenance, the security measures and everything, because essentially they will be retransmitting over our radio frequency. So we have to ensure the integrity of that.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Is there any other questions from any members, committee members?
Yes.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Director Hartley, have we used this company before, or is this something that would be new in Douglas County? And then if you could also speak to this company, if we so chose them, would they be the only ones that the fire code or fire department would be using to make sure that all the new buildings would be in compliance?
Well, so how it works is when we receive a request for that testing, that then has to go to the regional radio systems manager at Cobb County, because our radio system is connected to Cobb County's core. And so the testing takes place, actually, that's a conversation between that Cobb Radio Systems regional manager and a company that they use that does the testing. And so that specific component doesn't necessarily have anything it does have something to do with us and it doesn't. It's kind of like that's who Cobb uses, and that's a company called Diversified. And Andy, if you want to come off as well, to ensure that I'm saying this correctly. And then once it's determined that a BDA is needed in a building, Vice Chair Carthen, Andy then has to grant permission for that business entity, whoever it is, because right now we have one at the Tributary apartment complex. We have a request from them. We also have a request from the big Lionsgate project as well. And so once they complete their testing, if it is determined that a BDA is needed because there may be some areas where coverage is insufficient and they need that BDA, we have to then have an agreement that basically holds them accountable to ensure that they're doing preventative maintenance, that they have proper security measures, and that if that BDA does interfere with our public safety radio system, that we have the right to enforce taking that BDA down.
Okay, understood. So, Mr. Pitts? Good morning. Welcome to our safety meeting.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah, I cannot add more than what Director Hartley said. It's basically new construction. The radio network that we currently have is very well engineered and designed for in-building. Since I've been here, we've actually tested 2 or 3 new buildings that have come up, and they do not need BDAs. This is just a preventative method of making sure that if they do make some kind of a solid more building and it needs to have a BDA, we need to be everything in compliance with a fire, NFPA, and IFC.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I yield the floor, Ms. Chalkeretz.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. All right. Any other questions from any board members? If not, Madam Hartley, you can move on to your next item.
Okay. And the next item, I would just like to update the group that I am honored today to participate on a global seminar as a panelist regarding incident imaging and the impact of the technology on E911. So that's the ability to see live video with 911 now. So I'm very honored to represent Douglas County and Douglas County E911 on a global seminar today.
Oh, that's fantastic. Give us a little insight in that global imaging.
So last month, I presented to the Board of Commissioners our renewal contract for Carbyne Sea Live Universe. And so that allows us to be able to send out a link to our public so that we can actually see live video. We can text to 911 and all of those, that new technology that allows the dispatcher eyes on an actual scene, and then to be able to provide that information to our first responders.
Yeah, thank you. Just in case any of our citizens were not able to hear that during our last meeting and that they was to watch this, I just wanted to make sure that they were aware of what that capability is and how it's very, I think it's going to be very useful, and especially, you know, when our first responders first show up on scene, it'll definitely give them some insight as we discussed in our meeting. Okay. All right. Are there any more questions or any more information you need to bring to us, Ms. Hartley?
No, sir.
All right. Any questions from you members for Ms. Hartley?
This is Jason. Director Hartley, can you talk a little bit about Telecommunicators Week, Public Safety Telecommunicators Week next week?
Absolutely. Thank you. So next week is Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And so we will be presenting a proclamation to all of our telecommunicators in Douglas County. And thank you so much, Director Milholland. And so we, and that's just not for E911, but we're also inviting the Sheriff Dispatch Communication to come out with us to the Board of Commissioners meeting as well. And it's just our week-long celebration acknowledging the work that our telecommunicators do each and every day.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Thank you for that, Director Milholland, for bringing that up. Okay. Is there anything else?
Commissioner Alcaraz?
Yes, go ahead, Vice Chair
I
Carter.
was going to address Director Harley's ask regarding the BDA, the bidirectional testing. I would ask that it be brought forward to the Board of Commissioners. If you could get with ACA Tiffany Stewart Stanley and David Corbin, Ms. Hartley, to see if we can go ahead and get that on the agenda. And I do ask that you keep the presentation at 10 minutes, 10 minutes or under, if you are allowed to bring it, so that we can keep the continuity of the meeting going. But I'm pretty sure it's something that the board would like to see, understand, and press forward with.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carter. All right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to EMA Director, Jason Milholland.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We've done a little bit of support for some other agencies since the last meeting with some of our equipment. That's one of the things that with EMA we try to get our gator, if a department has a situation where they need to get rescue somebody or whatever, we try to have equipment they may not have at their department available for them. So we've been able to use that a couple of times since our last meeting to support other agencies. And we also met with, as we mentioned before, the city's new amphitheater. That's going to be a pretty big deal. And it's going to involve a lot of planning as they first start off. We've had several meetings with them. All the public safety agencies have, and try to support them. Because they're talking to, at some of their events they have 3,000-4,000 people. That ballpark. That's a lot of people, and with the parking situation over there. And we're talking, they're covering all the bases, trying to get all the plans for how you get those folks in there. How do you get them out of there quickly? So we're working with them on that planning part and how to support them during their event. Like I said, I think this summer they're going to, after things build out, they're going to try to have some mini concerts, and in Labor Day weekend they're going to try to have some bigger names come out, so they'll get some test runs. But it's going to be a collaborative effort between the city and the county, and support them in their endeavor there. And I think it'd be great for the citizens, but we're also going to make sure that they get supported in their, to have what they need from the county. Be a all hands on deck type situation, I believe. The continuity plans are still getting. Kim Lewis is still going out and working with the departments on updating those plans, and so, hopefully we'll be wrapping that up pretty quickly, and then we can move on to, like I said in the last meeting, to the overall emergency operations plan, and start going through that and reaching out to departments and making sure all these changes that we've had. That's the biggest thing we've had with the continuity plans, is we've had such a large amount of changes in personnel in all the departments in the county over the last couple of years, trying to get the correct people in the correct slots and correct titles. And when some of the people that are still here have different titles than they had last when we developed the plan. So just basically going through working with them and making sure that they have what they need. If they don't have if their building disappears tomorrow for whatever reason, they can quickly get back up to serve the citizens in whatever area they work in. That's the idea behind these plans, and it's and everybody has different needs, so that's why we have individual plans for those agencies. And that's kind of where we're at right now. One thing I want to mention, see what you guys think on it. I've been watching some of the tornado warnings and devastation they've had in some of the areas. And some of the after conversations are we have multiple ways to get people notified during a tornado warning. First thing happens if you have a tornado warning, it has to be issued by the National Weather Service. We don't issue tornado warnings; we respond to them. The National Weather Service's warning, and when they do a warning, they draw what they call a polygon, kind of a triangle around the areas that is going to be affected. And a lot of times, the entire county is not affected by the polygon or the warned area. So you may have an area north Douglas County that is warned, and the South County is not. So currently, the way we have our siren system set up, it's automatic. The sirens within that polygon go off based upon that warning. So let's say if we were a tornado warning in Fairplay, those sirens would go off within that polygon. The sirens within let's say Lithia Springs, Austell area would not, because they're not in the warned area. And what I'm seeing all across our area is people are not understanding. They said we had a warning in our county, and we did not get the siren notification. So I was saying, what do you think? Do we think we need to move to a system where the sirens go off all through the county if we have a warning, or do you keep it the way it is and just in the area that the National Weather Service is concerned about? I was just trying to get there's no right or wrong answers. I'm trying to make sure get what the citizens want, get their information. The biggest thing is making the citizens understand that is an outdoor warning system. It's not meant for inside of it. It's not meant for you to be notified inside your house. That's why we promote weather radios and phone apps and stuff like that. So I'm just curious, a little feedback from the board members on what is their opinion on that.
I mean, when we previously discussed this, I mean, I like that idea. I mean, I think we got to start doing something to advertise this a little bit more in regards to the importance to our citizens as to signing up for that system that you have, so they will only be warned. Because as you previously told us, that we're having a lot of people drop off or who were previously signed up for these warnings because of they're afraid, or their thoughts of is just like at our meeting, Commissioner Robinson spoke. He said that we get these warnings just out of the blue. It could be something totally in another state, about the child warnings, and how some people just don't want that notification coming across on text or on their phone if it does not involve them. I mean, I love that idea. It's just we need to brainstorm to figure out how we can get more of our citizens to sign up for such program and understand that and educate them to let them know it's only going to go off if it's in your area. Because I agree. You turn on the TV and you've seen how these tornadoes hit, and there was, I believe I was reading 23 lives were lost when that one tornado went through the southeast the other week. I would hate for that to happen to anyone in our county.
The biggest thing is I really want to work with our communications teams on the outdoor, is educating them about these outdoor sirens. I like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a big fan of them. They serve a purpose. People overly depend on siren systems, and that's to me that's the last way you should want to worry about or get a warning. Because you think about it, the way a siren goes off, first thing has to happen, of course, is the National Weather Service's warning. Then it sends a signal to our radio, basically our radio system. That radio then sends the message to alert out to the siren. And sirens are mechanical in nature. So, and they also have batteries. So they have electronics, they have mechanical and stuff like that. And there's probably 6 points of failure in a siren system. And that's why most emergency managers and meteorologists on TV say they're fine to have, but you do not want your citizens depending on that as their method of warning. And trying to get that across. And I've been doing this 15 years now, and there's too many points of failure in that system for somebody to depend on that type system, that system. And I've talked to emergency managers all across the country, and everybody that has them has the same issue with it. And anytime you, like, if you look at the local media, anytime somebody has a tornado, they'll talk about the sirens not going off, and I'm like, please have another way besides sirens to go off. And we spend a good bit of money on replacing radios, replacing mechanical parts on the sirens. They're not cheap, you know, they keep going. And it's just trying to get them to, I'm not saying get rid of our tornado siren system, but I'm saying just to educate them where that's the last way you want to get, having your other ways to get notified. Have those, it's just so important to have, you know, better ways to get notified, because if it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, unless you live under a siren, you're not going to hear it. And it was never designed for that. It was designed for if somebody may be on a golf course or outside and they get caught outside working, or outside workers. That's why they were designed, not to let people know inside their house.
Any questions or anything from any other members?
Commissioner Perez.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Chair Carthen.
Thank you. So I noticed that we do have our constituent services, Ms. Wendy Cottle, on the line. And so Director Milholland made a great point, you know, trying to get this out to constituents to get them to understand the importance of signing up. I think it's for the red alert, is it?
The code reds are our current notification that.
Yeah, so if we could,
outreach coordinator on it.
So, Ms. Cottle, is that
Yes,
something
ma'am.
you could help us, help Director Milholland to get out to the constituents? Because you do a lot of face-to-face and you're out and about in the county. And so if this could be something that we could just make standing so that people will start signing up for it, getting the information out, and just, you know, educating the public about the importance of this, because we do have a lot of weather related alerts, and you know, to Director Milholland's point, I don't want it going off over here by me if it's not necessary. But of course, you know, I would definitely sign up for an alert so that, you know, I would know what's going on in my area and to prepare for it. And so I think most people would, if they really understood how easy it is to sign up for it, and what it would entail, that we wouldn't just be sending out alerts from different states and everything. So if you could get with Director Milholland and see how we could possibly do a campaign around that, since you're the public, since you're public facing now, and you do such a great job at it. So.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to do that. I will get with Director Milholland, and we will work on that as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Is that okay, Director Milholland?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'd like to. Like I said, Director Hall and I both. We want to. You know, so we're tied. You know, we're in the same building. We're also, a lot of our efforts are tied together, because, you know, they're you know, we're you know, it puts a lot of stress on all of our systems that we use in the county. Put a lot of extra work on her staff to monitor and stuff like that. So we're very both of us, I know, are very appreciative of any assistance we get to be able to inform the citizens, to make everyone's lives a little bit easier.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Alvarez. I yield.
And, you know, I think it'd be great too, if we involved the same with Director Hartley in regards to the live streaming, so that our citizens are aware of that capability in the event that they're in that situation, where they would know to, or be able to know to do that. I think that'd be important, maybe to incorporate that as well. Maybe it might be in 2 different sessions, maybe together, I don't know, but I just think both of those are 2 very important things that we probably need to push out to our citizens.
Will do.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Director Milholland?
That's all for me.
All right. Then we'll go ahead and we'll move on to, I don't know, I was seeing Ms. Godwin's on here, but I don't know if her microphone started working yet or not. Connor Godwin? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to code enforcement. Russell Tizon.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So the only update I really have for anyone at this point. I mean, code enforcement's just, you know, business as usual. We're moving forward. All the incoming complaints that we're getting, we're, you know, responding to them as normal. Additionally, you know, our entire team of field officers, we're actually out. We just started a systematic sweep throughout all areas of the county. We're starting off in specific subdivisions in all the districts and zones that we've cordoned off, and we're going into the subdivisions, just having a more increased presence, citing litter violations, zoning violations, and then trying to address some of the citizens' concerns before they even come to our phone. We're trying to, you know, bring it out there to them and be proactive about getting some of these communities cleaned up proactively, rather than having to have 15, 20 citizens in an area, you know, call repeatedly about one or two houses. We're just trying to kind of get ahead of the curve, and we just started that. And so far it's been fairly successful. We've had a couple of hiccups already that we're addressing and getting corrected, but other than that, we're moving forward from a broader spectrum. I don't have anything to report to the rest of the committee here on a large scale basis, but if there's any questions anyone has, I'm glad to answer them.
Okay. I think it's important, Russell, if you don't mind, just we need to make sure that our citizens know, when you talk about a sweep, as you and I discussed earlier this week, you know, we're not coming out there to start trying to look for things to find people on. It's just, we're taking, you know, a scan about of our county and our subdivisions to make sure that, you know, no one is violating any codes or anything like that. So, you know, I think it's important for our citizens to know we're not coming out there to try to find something to own everyone, to be able to find someone. It's right. Just we want to make sure that we see certain things that are it should be reported to us, such as maybe an illegally placed building or built building, that it can bring it to our attention. But just want to make sure our citizens are clear of that we're not coming out there just to start trying to do a sweep and, you know, find individuals whenever they see our presence in their subdivision.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any questions anyone has for Director Tilzon?
Yes.
Or Chief Tilzon? Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Good morning. I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know this is not the area that the county is over, but in terms of the retail area on Chapel Hill, across from the mall and that area, there is a lot of trash that keeps accumulating, and I know it is the city. Do you all work with the city in regards to that, especially the areas behind the strip mall where Ross and Big Lots and all of that area is just littered with trash that is outside of the trash receptacles from those buildings? Is that maybe we can coordinate with the city to ensure that those tenants are cleaning up, or we're not allowing people to dump illegally?
Right. We reach out to the city from time to time, and they reach out to us from time to time if we're going to a property in the county that we have to pass through a city area, and if we see certain areas that just draw our attention, even if it's in their jurisdiction, we'll send them a friendly, you know, hey, we were riding through Douglas Boulevard and saw X, Y, and Z across from the mall or on this backside, and we just make mention to it. Obviously, we don't want to have those phone calls look like we're trying to police them into doing their job. Obviously, we try not to upset the apple cart, and vice versa. They contact us if someone reaches out to them incorrectly, thinking it's city jurisdiction, it's actually county. They refer them over to us. So there's communication just in that type of basis. But if there's specific areas, you know, in the county, in the city that we can go to, I can reach out to their chief over there and let them know that, you know, there's been some areas of concern that aren't in our jurisdiction, but we keep hearing about them. And then whatever they do from there, we can put it on their plate at least and see what they want to do with it.
Thank you for that. And I know constituents always get confused with city or county.
Right.
It's up to us to figure it out. We just want to get it taken care of. But I would appreciate that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Chief Tilzon? If If not, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to Animal Control Director Vanessa Frantikowski. I don't know if she's jumped on. Okay. All right, and I don't believe the coroner's microphone is working, but we'll get an update from her. All right. I believe that's everyone. Unless have I missed anyone? Well, if not, is there any other business we need to discuss? Vice Chair, is there anything that you see that we need to discuss?
Good morning. I just wanted to request, sir, that when we do get the minutes from, not the minutes, the notes from the coroner's office, I would just request that I be kept in the loop about that so that I can add them to the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Madam Godwin and see if there's any updates that she has, and see if she can just forward them to the committee members, and
Yes, sir.
that way
Thank you,
it'll get to you. Yes, ma'am. Is there anything else you wish to talk about, Vice Chair?
No, nothing else for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess this was a short and sweet meeting. We have another meeting on May 18th. Lisa will be sending those, or it should already be in your calendar. But we'll get updates. Hopefully, the coroner will be able to, and the sheriff's department will be able to attend that meeting. But I guess there's no other business to discuss. Our meeting can be adjourned.
Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, if we have any topics prior to the next meeting, how would you like us to address those to the members?
You can feel free to email the members, or Vice Chair and I. You can feel free to send that out to us.
Copy that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Is there anything else? Well, if there be nothing else, this meeting will be adjourned to our May 18th meeting. Hope everyone has a good day.
Have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.